Good morning, let me swear you in. Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth and the penalty of law?
Yes, I do.
Take a seat.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Can you please introduce yourself to the jury and spell your first and last name for the court?
My name is Roger Brunson with New Mexico State Police. My first name is R-O-D-G-E-R. Last name is B-R-U-N-S-O-N.
You said with the New Mexico State Police?
Yes.
And how long have you been with the New Mexico State Police?
7 years.
And what is your current assignment with them?
I'm with the crime scene team.
And was that your assignment in May of last year as well?
Yes, ma'am.
And as part of the crime scene unit, what do you do?
We're on call 24 hours a day, and we respond to crime scenes, more specifically to scenes where violent crime has occurred.
And have you had any special training to do that?
Yes, I've had numerous advanced training with crime scene reconstruction, bloodstain pattern analysis, and shooting reconstruction.
And how did you initially become involved in this case?
On May 25th at about 10:30 p.m., I was called to respond to a scene near the intersection of Southern and Pine Tree in Rio Rancho to a shooting that resulted in the death of an officer.
And approximately what time did you arrive on the scene?
I got there shortly after midnight.
And once you arrived, what happened?
I met with other members of the crime scene team at about 1 a.m. We did a walkthrough of the scene. Shortly after the walkthrough, I was assigned by the crime scene manager, Agent Lucero, to take overview photographs starting on the west side of the scene.
You said a walkthrough. What is that?
We do walk through the scene to see what's there. Look for any possible evidence. There were already, when we got there were already some yellow evidence markers that had been placed by another agency.
Okay. And you said you were asked to take photographs.
Yes.
And I'm showing you what states Exhibit 131. Do you recognize that as one of your photographs?
It's a little blurry on this screen.
Let's see if we can make it any better. I don't know. It may just be a little blurry.
Yes. Oh, that's
There we go.
yeah, that's better. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And what were you photographing at this time?
This is an overview from west of the scene where the officer was shot.
And why do you take photographs like this?
We take photographs to document how the scene was at the time that it was investigated.
And about how long after the shooting would these photographs have been taken?
These were taken probably at about between 2 and 3 in the morning
Okay.
of the 26th.
And let me show you a couple more here. This is states 125.
Yes.
Do you recognize that as one of your photos?
Yes.
Okay, and same purpose?
Yes. Just to document the scene.
And this is states 124. Is this also from your film?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And approximately how many of these kind of photos did you take?
That scene I took, I think, about a little less than 150 photos.
Okay. And at that point, did you receive any other information?
When I was completed with taking the overview photographs from the west side of the scene, I was informed that the suspect, Mr. Romero, had been detained at a gas station near the intersection of Broadway and Rio Bravo in Albuquerque. And I was assigned, we were advised that a firearm had been thrown from the vehicle that the suspect was in, and I was sent to go and document that scene and collect that firearm.
And did you go there?
Yes.
And where exactly was that at?
It was at a Valero fuel station at the intersection of Broadway and Rio Bravo.
And approximately what time did you arrive there?
I got there at about 3:45, 3:50 a.m.
And when you arrived at the Valero, what did you observe?
There were numerous law enforcement vehicles surrounding the area. An area under the fuel pumps had been secured with evidence tape, or excuse me, crime scene tape. There were 3 vehicles within the boundaries of that crime scene tape. 2 of them were law enforcement vehicles, and one was what was I was advised was the vehicle that the suspect was in.
Okay. And I'm showing you State's Exhibit 145. Are these the 3 vehicles that you were just discussing?
Yes.
And is this how they appeared when you arrived on scene?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And at that point, were any of the occupants of that vehicle still there?
No.
And did you have any direct contact with any of the occupants of that vehicle?
No, I did not.
And what did you do next?
I documented that scene with photography. I was advised, pointed out where this firearm was. It had been marked with a orange traffic cone by other law enforcement officers that were there prior to me. I photographed the firearm. I placed on some nitrile gloves, and I picked up the firearm. I locked the slide to the rear. 1 hollow point cartridge ejected from the chamber. I pulled the magazine out of the firearm, and it also was loaded with ammunition.
Okay, let's slow down and go back over several of the photos that you took. Okay, so let's start here, and you can just take us through what we're looking at. So this is States 141, and tell us what we're looking at here.
This is the north side of the property where the fuel station is. See the orange traffic cone, and that dark object laying on the concrete next to it is that firearm. The white Ford pickup truck is an unmarked Albuquerque Police Department unit.
All right. This is States 143. Does that show that white truck a little clearer?
Yes, you can see over on the left that same orange traffic cone. That's where the firearm is. The white Ford truck is now facing you in this photo, and the vehicle that the suspect was reportedly in was in the silver Impala.
And Your Honor, may the witness step down to help us understand these photos a little clearer? This 143. Can I just stand here and face the jury, and you can use that as a pointer, and just show us again what you were talking about?
Again, this orange traffic cone here is where the firearm is. This is that same white Ford pickup truck that's now facing you, and then this is the vehicle that the suspect was reportedly in. See that there's already been...
Just put the microphone. Yeah, put the microphone. Try to put the microphone closer to you. There you go.
There's already evidence tape placed over these passenger side doors, the trunk, and the hood. Agent Bingston put those on there.
Okay. And we're going to States 144.
Okay.
That's what we're looking at here.
This is also the same silver Impala that the suspect was in, and this is Bernalillo County Sheriff's Office unmarked unit with the emergency equipment engaged.
All right. This is States 145.
Okay, this is on the east side of these vehicles. Again, this is the white Ford F-150, the Impala, and the Bernalillo County unit.
States 149. What are we looking at here?
These are some shoes. You can see here, this is the rear of that Bernalillo County unit. These are some white and black and gray Nike Jordans. I was advised that these shoes had been worn.
And why would you photograph everything at the scene like this?
These are in the scene, and I was advised to collect them.
This is States 146. What are we looking at here?
This is the firearm that was laying in the pavement that was reportedly tossed from the vehicle.
Okay. This is States 148. Is that just a closer view of
Yes,
that?
this is a closer view of the same firearm. It's a Beretta 9mm, and I noted that the safety switch or safety lever was in the firing position.
Okay. Now, once you located the gun in this position, what did you do with it?
I took the closer photographs, and then before packaging it, I placed on the gloves and locked the slide to the rear, and that's when hollow point cartridge ejected from the chamber.
So what does that mean that it ejected from the chamber?
Means in a semi-automatic handgun such as this, when you lock the slide to the rear, it causes whatever, if anything is in the chamber, to eject out the ejection port.
So there would have had to have been something in there before you had any contact with it?
Yes.
Okay. So let's zoom in just a little bit here. So what is, if I can move my finger the right way, what is this right here?
It's the brand marked on the grip of the firearm. It says Beretta.
And before I go on, this is States 150. And now the gun doesn't appear to be on the concrete anymore.
No, it's in a evidence box.
And how did that occur?
I placed it in an evidence box because I collected as evidence.
Okay. And there appears to be some...
Yeah, when we package firearms as evidence, they need to be made safe. Therefore, that's why I ejected or locked the slide to the rear to see if it was loaded. I removed the magazine that was also in the firearm, and then I placed these plastic zip ties through the grip where the magazine goes, and then locked it so that the slide couldn't go.
And there was something in there. So what does that mean? Okay, let's back up just a little bit. You said that when you moved the slide back and there was something in there. So what does that mean to you that the gun was in that condition when you found it?
It was ready to fire. There was a round in the chamber and the safety lever was in firing position.
We're now going to States 151. And again, what are we looking at here?
This is a close-up of markings on the slide, and this part of the firearm that includes the caliber and the brand.
And what is the caliber and brand?
It's a 9mm Beretta.
This is States 152. And what are we looking at here?
This is the close-up of the other side of the firearm.
Okay.
Can't really see glasses. I think there's one closer than that. You can read what's imprinted on the side of the slide.
Possibly States 153.
Yes. This one, it also on the slide, it shows it's a 9mm Beretta, and the serial number is marked here.
Okay. And is the way that this is being packaged, is that the common way for you to do that?
Yes.
And was that part of your training and experience?
Yes. As far as putting the zip ties.
Yes.
Yeah, we placed the zip ties through where the magazine was at, or the place where the magazine goes into the grip. We need to make the gun safe, but we don't want to feed those zip ties through the barrel and damage any evidence that may be in the barrel.
Okay. And why do you put those through the barrel or through the magazine?
It's
I'm sorry.
to the where the magazine goes.
Yes.
It's to make the gun safe, so that there's something preventing it from closing all the way, making it in the firing position.
And are you just handling this with your bare hands?
No, I'm using clean gloves.
We're going to States 154. And is that what we see here?
This is the cartridge that was in the chamber of that firearm.
I'm talking about this blue part.
Oh yes,
right
I'm
here.
sorry. Yes, that's the glove I was
Okay.
wearing.
All right, and now what are we looking at as far as the package?
This is evidence, was marked as evidence item AR1A, and it is, because the firearm was labeled as AR1, so A is the cartridge that was in the chamber.
And why do you wear gloves whenever you do this procedure?
To prevent damaging any evidence or placing my DNA on that item.
Thank you. And is this the way that the package is then turned over to evidence?
Well, this is a box. This is the lid of the box. The lid is placed on the box and then it's sealed with evidence tape.
We're going to states 155. What are we looking at here?
This is a close-up of the stamp on the cartridge. It's a 9mm Luger.
And where was this located?
This is the same cartridge that was in the chamber of the gun.
States 156. What are we looking at here?
This is the opposite side from where the stamp is. This is the bullet part that's in the cartridge.
And
It's a hollow point.
thank you. We're now going to states 157. And what are we looking at here?
This was marked as evidence item AR1B, and this is the magazine that I pulled from that firearm.
And the magazine, it appears to have bullets in it.
Yes, it is loaded with cartridges. I did not remove the cartridges in it to prevent damage to any evidence that may be on it.
Going to states 158. Is this the same cartridge?
Yes, it is. This is just a view of, on the back side of it, there are these holes, and there's some numbers indicating approximately how many cartridges are in the magazine. And from what you can see, there's approximately 10, maybe more. You can't see what's in between these two holes.
And where are those numbers?
This one right here says 15. Right here, I can't see. Here's 10 right here.
Okay.
And that's 5.
And so again, how many do you believe is in there?
There's at least 10.
Okay. This is states 159. And what are we looking at here?
It's the same magazine, just a photo from the other side.
Did you collect any other evidence from the scene?
The firearm, what was inside of it, and the pair of shoes.
Okay, I think you can have a seat. And was that the end of your involvement in this case?
After I completed my investigation there at that scene, the gas station at Rio Bravo and Broadway, I left there a little bit after 5 a.m. I returned to the scene on Southern and Pine Tree, and that's when I was then assigned by Agent Lucero to assist with scanning of the scene.
And who did you assist?
Agent Clint Norris.
Okay, and scanning of the scene, what did you do?
We had 2 separate scanners. He brought one from Las Cruces. I had the one from Albuquerque. He started on the west end of the scene near the Arby's, moved inward. I started on the east end of the scene, where the scene of the shooting, and moved inwards. It's a 3D Leica scanner. It sends out lasers for measurements of the scene. It spins at 360 degrees. The laser shoots out, hits an object, and bounces back, and that's where it gets the measurements from. You can use the data collected by the scanner, enter it into a software program, Cyclone, and create a 3D diagram.
And what happened with those scans?
All the data collected by these 2 scanners was given to Agent Norris, and he took them back to Las Cruces and built a 3D diagram with that.
Okay, and what, if anything, did you do next?
That's about it. Later that afternoon, I signed that evidence over to Rio Rancho PD, the ones I collected at the fuel station.
Yes. May I have just a moment? I'll pass the witness from you. Evening, officer.
Good morning, ma'am.
So, as part of the crime scene team, basically you're tasked with collecting all evidence that could be relevant to an investigation, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And it really is sort of dependent on the type of crime. Part of
They
the
may know of
role is-
evidence that we are not aware of, yes.
And then you yourself draw on your own experience to figure out what you might need.
Correct.
Okay. And in this case, you knew that this involved a shooting, right?
Yes.
And that a gun was used, right?
Yes, have to be, yes.
Right, and so you would agree that when a firearm is fired, that it puts out particles from the actual pistol or gun, right?
Yes.
And that there is a thing called gunshot residue, or GSR, right?
It has been used, yes.
And so when a firearm is fired from a hand, occasionally, when you're shooting like a pistol like this Beretta, it would put out some sort of particles or other sort of substance from the firearm, right?
Yes.
And in this particular case, there was no evidence collection or any sort of gunshot residue that was collected from any of the suspects in this case. Is that accurate?
No.
That's not
no,
accurate?
sorry, no GSR was collected.
Okay. And so that means, and just so for people who aren't familiar with GSR, it's a pretty, or collecting GSR, it's a pretty easy process, is it not?
We don't collect GSR. We don't rely on that as evidence.
My question is a pretty easy process though, isn't it?
I wouldn't know. I've never collected it.
Okay, so in your training, you heard that collecting GSR is really just taking a swab and putting it over the hand, right?
Objection, Your Honor.
What's the objection?
Asked and answered.
I haven't asked this question, Your Honor.
Overruled.
I've not been trained to collect GSR.
I understand that, but you have learned about how GSR is collected.
I have heard of it, yes.
Okay, and is it not accurate from what you've heard that collecting GSR is merely just taking a swab and running it over
Again,
the
I
hand?
have not been trained how to collect GSR.
Objection, Your Honor. This is outside of this witness's.
So you yourself did not have any sort of role in collecting?
Objection, Your Honor.
Hold on.
Asked and answered.
I haven't finished the question.
Ask the question.
You yourself had no sort of role in collecting any sort of gunshot residue in this case. Is that accurate?
Objection, Your Honor. This is asked and answered.
Overruled.
Have you? Did you?
No.
Pass the witness.
And what time did you arrive at the first scene, the scene of the shooting?
Shortly after midnight on the 26th.
And what time did you arrive at the Valero station, the scene of the apprehension?
At about 3:45 a.m.
And approximately how long is that in between?
Almost 4 hours.
And they were asking you a lot about GSR. Do you know why GSR is not collected typically?
GSR isn't a reliable source of evidence to prove anything.
And do you know why that is?
Because GSR can be found in places that aren't related to a gunshot, for firing a gun, and it can be. It doesn't exactly say when. It doesn't give you a time frame of when that gun might have been fired. They could go wash their hands and there could be nothing on them, or they may have been shooting at the range last week and they're still on their clothing. So gunshot residue isn't really reliable.
No further questions, Your Honor?
May this witness be excused and released? State.
From the state, yes, Your Honor.
Any need to hold on to this witness?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Okay. Officer, will you step down?
Thank you.
approach, Your Honor.
We moved a lot quicker than what I expected, so we're gonna be done for the day. Okay? But I know you've heard my instruction a number of times. You probably are tired of hearing of it, and I'm tired of reading it, but I have to read it anyway. Okay? And we're gonna start. During recess, do not discuss this case with other jurors or with any other person, or allow anyone to discuss the case with you or in your presence. You as jurors must decide this case based solely on the evidence presented here within the four walls of this courtroom. This means that during the trial, you must not conduct any independent research about this case, the matters in this case, and the individuals or corporations involved in this case. In other words, you should not consult dictionaries or reference materials, search the internet, websites, blogs, or use any other electronic tool to obtain information about this case or to help you decide the case. Do not try to find out information from any source outside the confines of this courtroom. Until you retire to deliberate, you may not discuss this case with anyone, even your fellow jurors. After you retire to deliberate, you may begin discussing the case with your fellow jurors, but you cannot discuss the case with anyone else until you have returned a verdict and the case is at an end. I know that many of you use cell phones, the internet, and other tools of technology. You also must not talk to anyone about this case and use these tools to communicate electronically with anyone about the case. This includes your family and friends. You may not communicate with anyone about the case on your cell phone or on any other device that can access the internet, through email, text messaging, on Twitter, through any blog or website, through any internet chat room, by way of other social networking websites such as Facebook. During your deliberations, you must not communicate with or provide any information to anyone by any means about the case. You may not use these electronic devices or media such as telephone, cell phone, or any other device that can access the internet, any internet service, providing text or instant messaging service, or an internet chat room by way of any other social networking websites such as Facebook, to communicate to anyone any information about this case, or to conduct any research about this case until I accept your verdict. Avoid any publicity this case may receive. Do not read, listen to, or watch any news accounts of this trial. Do not express any opinion about the case or form any fixed opinion until the case is finally submitted to you for your decision. So folks, we're going to recess for the week at this time. Next week, we're going to go to court every day until we're done with the case. We'll start Monday at 9 o'clock. So be here about 8:45. And you folks have a good week. Okay?
All rise.
Recess and
Your Honor,
you may be seated for a minute.
can we approach?
You may.